Hey everyone, Colin here, welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how to record your classical guitar using the space pair technique, so let's get into it. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, it would really help support the channel. So by far the most common way to record classical guitar is using the AB stereo pair technique. And this was one of the first recording tutorials I actually put up on my channel. Now the space pair technique that I'm about to show you is very much like the AB stereo pair that you would have on a stereo bar. The big difference is that you're taking your mics off of the stereo bar and then spacing them further apart. And basically what this does is it just captures a different sound picture of your guitar. However, there's one big drawback to doing the space pair technique. And mostly it's just a complete pain to set up if you're recording by yourself. The issue is that when you take your mics off of the stereo bar and you start spacing them apart and then you move them around the room, the likelihood of phase problems increases. Phase problems being what happens when two waveforms cancel each other out. So if you can picture an actual sound waveform, basically what happens is that worst case scenario, when one wave goes up, the other wave goes down. So in effect, if you're using two microphones and you have bad phase problems, they can actually cancel each other out completely, or you'll just have a really thin sound that actually sounds worse than one microphone. And that's generally why I mostly recommend the AB stereo pair for most situations. If you're just going to record something and want it to sound good and have it easy, having two mics on a stereo bar is just kind of the best way to go. However, it's really fun to experiment and you might get a sound that you prefer more than the AB stereo pair. Now a good rule to follow when you're spacing these microphones is that they should be 3 times wider apart than they are from one single mic to the source. So for instance, if you have a guitar and a microphone that's 1 foot apart, you should space the microphones 3 feet apart when you're recording. And there's some math behind this, but basically it just helps minimize phase problems. But always use your ear, and when you're recording with space pair, or really any form of using two microphones, always check the phase. Listen, maybe sum it down to mono, like hit the mono button in your DAW, and see if that sounds just as good as the two mics. You can also check the waveforms in your DAW too, like zoom in on a really small level and see if the waveforms actually align or they're offset, or worst case scenario, they actually cancel each other out. Now I'm going to demonstrate two of my favorite arrangements of using a space pair. The first one is going to be the microphones a little bit closer to the guitar, getting kind of a more intimate feel, and I'm going to use two different types of microphones. So basically what I'm going to do is use a large diaphragm microphone on the bridge to capture all of that kind of good bass warmth of the guitar body, and then I'm going to use a small diaphragm SE8 on the neck, somewhere around the 12th fret, thereabouts, to get some of the high frequency information. Also using two different types of microphones with two different types of EQ patterns kind of built into the microphone type, is that you get a little bit wider stereo image. So really you get a bit of the best of both worlds. The second arrangement is just going to be two SE8 small diaphragm condensers spaced apart but just a little bit further out in the room. Something else to consider is that the further away you put your space pair, almost counterintuitively, the smaller your stereo image actually gets. And you can kind of liken this to if you go into a movie theater and you sit in the front row and you have to look around and see like the huge screen, it seems really big. But if you move to the back row of the movie theater, you don't really have to turn your head, it's just very small. It's kind of an illusion. The microphones work in very much the same manner. The closer you move the microphones to the sound source, the wider it becomes. Whereas if you move them back in the room, the guitar sounds a little bit more narrow, which can be good or bad depending on what you like. So always test and make sure for yourself. So let's have a listen and see which one you like best. If you have a favorite, leave it in the comments down below. Alright, that's my time for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover in future videos like this one, please leave them in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.